amidst the ancient ruins of a forgotten civilization. A mysterious temple pulsates with an otherworldly energy. The guardian of this taste-defying sanctuary moves forward, a figure shrouded in enigma and power. He doesn't just taste food, he summons forgotten flavors and awakens dormant passions. Behold, the Wizard of Food, Wesley Source, and the Tucson Tasty Show.
Welcome to the Tucson Tasty Show, brought to you by SACA, the Southern Arizona Art and Cultural Alliance. SACA is dedicated to creating, preserving, and advancing the arts. And we are very proud to have them as our presenting sponsor. A huge thank you to all of our sponsors who help make this show possible. That's Vera Earl Premium Beef, Tucson Family Food Project, Local First Arizona, Portillo's Hot Dogs, and of course, SACA. Before we dive in, don't forget to visit thetastyshow.com. That's where you can listen to past episodes, discover exclusive content, and best of all, join the Tasty Show membership program. Members unlock secret menu items at Tucson's top restaurants, scoring exclusive rewards, and even getting surprise restaurant gift cards. If you love food, this is for you. Go to thetastyshow.com and sign up today. I'm your host, Wesley Source, and today we have a truly special guest with us, one of the most influential chefs in the Southwest. He's a James Beard award-winning chef, a pioneer using local ingredients, and a key figure in helping Tucson earn the title of the first UNESCO City of Gastronomy in North America. Please welcome Chef Janos Wilder. How you doing today, Chef?
I'm great. Good morning, Wesley. How are you?
I'm good. I'm super excited. We've been really excited all week waiting for you to come into the show, and here it is.
Well, thanks for having me here.
It's our pleasure. This segment of the Tucson Tasty Show is brought to you by Vera Earl Premium Beef, bringing you that ranch to table quality you can taste. So let's dive into it. So we really wanted to bring you on the show and talk about how you became a chef. Everybody knows that you're an incredible chef, and you originally studied political science at UC Berkeley, right?
Yeah.
And then what led you into the culinary world?
Well, long before that. I started cooking when I was 15 or 16. That started my life in restaurants. But the real story starts well before that, because cooking with my mom, who was a great cook. But I was a quick story. I was the youngest of three. My brother and sister were off to school, and my mom was probably 24, 25 at the time, and loved Frank Sinatra, and she loved cooking, and she would, as she cooked, she would have Frank Sinatra, and she would dance me around her kitchen while she was cooking, just pick me up and dance me around the kitchen. And since then, I equate cooking and love and the gifts that you give people. And
absolutely.
That's really the inspiration. And didn't know it obviously at the time, and even as I got a little bit older and started cooking when I was in pizza parlors, and then moving on and on and on. It took me a while to really discover that, oh yeah, that's where it all comes from.
I can imagine, and absolutely, that's where the passion for the Tucson Tasty Show comes from, because that's where the family meets around the dinner table.
Absolutely.
In the kitchen. It's a central part of our home, and everybody eats. So, everybody, even if there's something going on, everybody gets around the table to eat, right?
We have no choice. We have to eat.
Yes. Was there a specific moment or experience that made you realize that food was your true calling?
Yes, sort of. So I'd been working in pizza parlors. I worked in the TGI Fridays in Nashville prior to, before they became the big thing. They were just independent restaurants, and other places in Colorado and elsewhere in California as well. And I had the opportunity. I hadn't worked in great restaurants, just good restaurants, not so good restaurants, lots of experience, learning the trade, learning how to use a knife, learning how to work with people, learning the cook's dance, all of those things. But I had an opportunity to work with a guy named Joe Boches. He was a he was a CIA trained chef, but more than that, prior to that, he was a botanist, and so he was a really bright guy, and I learned from him because he had diverse interest that actually by being a chef, it allowed me to do all sorts of things. It wasn't just the kitchen. There were the connections to the community. There were all sorts of outlets that if I was really interested in it, I didn't have to be pigeonholed. And that was really important to me because, you mentioned political science at Berkeley. That's a real interest of mine. And how do we as individuals relate to the greater society, be it our hometowns, be it our states, be it our country? How do we relate to those sorts of issues as a chef? And how do we, this really comes from my mom more than anything else, how do you find the opportunities to give back to the community that nurtures you? And so that working for Joe, and not that he was doing all those things, but I just realized that all of that became possible. And that's when the LSAT book that was on top of my bedstand kept on going deeper and deeper and down and down and down with more and more cookbooks piled above it.
Understandable. And with all of that in mind, you talk a lot about cooking with a sense of place.
Yeah.
And can you explain what that means to you?
Yeah. So it means to me to inform your cooking with the ingredients and the flavors and really the history of where you are. That's what a sense of place is. It's the totality of all of that. And that became clear to me really very early on when I was living and working in the mountains of Colorado, and we were, way up in the mountains of dirt, 8,300 feet, dirt roads to get up to us. Nobody wanted to deliver, right? So I'd go down to Boulder and shop, but we'd also inform we weren't the foragers, but we would work with foragers, and we'd get all sorts of things that were around us. Plus, in the summer, and this restaurant was pretty much open 6 months a year, and otherwise it was under 6 feet of snow. From the people who were backyard gardeners and our neighbors, we would inform our cooking. More than that, for practical reasons, use the things that were around us.
Right.
All right. So that was how that began for me. I went to France and worked in Bordeaux, following, at some point after that, and every day we would go to the marketplace, and the chefs would let me go with them. This was Michelin two-star restaurants, phenomenal, best of the best, and every day we would go to the marketplace, and they knew everybody at the marketplace, and they would save the best for them. Mm-hmm. We'd come back in the little truck going back to the restaurant, and the chefs. I would not be part of this conversation. The chefs would write the menus on the way back to the restaurant, and the menus would change every day based on what they got from the gardens. And that sort of reinforced what I'd been thinking about food in Colorado. So when I came to Tucson, I'm not from here, and we started advertising for gardeners before we advertised for staff. I didn't know anything always grew here. Like anybody new here and new to the desert, you realize, you think, well, nothing grows here. I better grow what I need. Right? So I started growing the things, my gardeners growing the things that I'd been cooking with in France. And then the dawning of recognition comes to me, and I realized, wait a minute, there's a lot out here. And I started and really became aware of native seed search and our food heritage. And this was very early on in like the mid 80s or something like that. I began to incorporate those products into my food and those sorts of ingredients into my dishes. And what had been very French-based at first never lost the French, because those techniques are valid in any kind of cooking, but incorporated the foods of our region.
Right.
And then just continue to take a deep dive into that.
And when Janos opened in 1983, right?
Yeah.
And at that time, blending French techniques and Southwestern ingredients wasn't common. And what kind of reaction did you get from the Tucson community?
It started slowly, and it was not a big restaurant either, but it started slowly. But the most important thing to me when you think about what's your job as a chef, right? Cook good food, not screw it up, keep people healthy, okay, all of that stuff. But most importantly, you have to cook food that tastes really great and people are going to enjoy. Right. That's how you build trust. And so because of sort of a somewhat diverse background that I had, I knew how to cook things and I knew how to combine flavors and ingredients and make dishes. I wasn't making dishes that people had heard of. I was always creating new things. And I built the trust with my customers because they may not know what this was, but when they tasted it, they know they loved it. And that built the trust that allowed me to continue in that path. And I've always told, young cooks, and I was still fairly young cook at that time, but young cooks try to do all sorts of offbeat things and try combinations that do or don't work together. And and I always tell them, if you're cooking for yourself, go home and cook. But here we're cooking for our guests, right, and they have to be top of mind.
Absolutely. And I'm sure you saw something that inspired you in the food scene here in Tucson, and we're going to talk about that when we get back from this very short break. Do you want access to Tucson's best-kept food secrets? Join the Tucson Tasty Show membership program at thetastyshow.com. Coming up next, we'll talk more about how Chef Janos helped Tucson on the global culinary map. And don't forget to stick around. And again, check out thetastyshow.com. And as always, stay tasty, Tucson. Hello, this is Wesley Source with the Tucson Tasty Show. With every tasty bite from VEPremiumBeef.com, you get premium beef flavor. From the amazing ground beef to the melt-in-your-mouth ribeye steaks, every ounce is exceptionally aged for more than 21 days. Giving Vera Earl Premium Beef exceptional premium beef flavor, order online at VEPremiumBeef.com. Again, that's VEPremiumBeef.com.
Hi, I'm Stephen Cota-Robles, founder of the Tucson Family Food Project. Here in Tucson, no family should have to choose between paying bills and putting food on the table. That's why we're here, to provide healthy, home-cooked meals to families in need every single week. But we need your help. Just $1 can have a huge impact on a family's nutrition and a child's educational outcome. Together, we can make sure every child in our community has access to nourishing food and a brighter future. Visit the TucsonFamilyFoodProject.org to learn more and to make your donation today. Together, we're not just helping families, we're building a stronger Tucson.
Hey Tucson, ready to spice up your dining experience? Join the Tucson Tasty Show supporter membership and unlock exclusive access to secret menu items from our partner restaurants. These one-of-a-kind dishes aren't just regular menu items. Crafted just for our members, it's your backstage pass to Tucson's best-kept culinary secrets. Sign up today at thetastyshow.com and discover what you've been missing. Stay tasty, Tucson.
Spark Project Collective, the world's first tattoo, body piercing, and metaphysical nonprofit. We're here to inspire, uplift, and give back to Tucson. For meaningful tattoos and unique piercings, massage therapy, sound bed sessions, metaphysical readers, and classes for spiritual growth. Spark Project Collective helps you express your authentic self while giving back to your community. Rent our event space. It's perfect for your next gathering or even workshop. Visit sparkprojectcollective.com to learn more and discover where creativity and connection meet.
Welcome to the Tucson Tasty Show, brought to you by SACA, Southern Arizona Art and Cultural Alliance, dedicated to creating, preserving, and advancing the arts. And now it's time for more tasty bites with your host, Wesley Source.
Welcome back to the Tucson Tasty Show. I'm here with Chef Janos Wilder, and we're talking about his incredible contributions to Tucson's food culture. One of the biggest milestones in our city's culinary history was becoming the first UNESCO city of gastronomy in in North America. And Chef Janos Wilder was a driving force behind that recognition. And this segment is brought to you by Tucson Family Food Project, helping families in our community gain better access to fresh local food. So, Chef, tell us about how Tucson was selected as a UNESCO City of Gastronomy, and what was that process like?
Well, so I wasn't in from the very beginning, but I got brought on pretty early. Gary Nobhan was really the spark for this idea. Mm-hmm. Jonathan Mabry, who's our executive director, was originally the board chair. I'm the board chair now. He's taken over the role a few years ago as the executive director. Really had hatched the plan and put it together. Realized that, first of all, UNESCO is not a big thing in the United States, but it certainly is in Europe. But Gary knew about it and knew of the Cities of Gastronomy, part of the Creative Cities Network, and that we should apply. We have a really unique. If anybody knows about our gastronomic heritage, it's Gary Nobhan, right? Right. So we should try to do this, and so I was brought on to help with the application processes. They told me about this. I realized, well, oh my God, this is kind of my life's work. So yes, I want to be part of that. So we put together an application. It was very well received, but we did not get that certification, that recognition at that point. They asked us to reapply. We fine-tuned the application a bit in our second. Apparently, nobody ever gets it on the first time. At least they're nice enough to tell you that. Right. And then we received that recognition in 2015.
Right.
Yeah, we're starting our 10th year.
Yes. And more than, and I'm hoping there's going to be a celebration of 10 years of UNESCO City of Gastronomy.
We're working on it. There'll be a lot.
And hopefully we can help with that. And
well, good. We hope you can.
And but it's more than 5,000 years of agriculture and cultivating in the Tucson area, which is incredible.
Yeah, and that's the reason we've got that designation. You know, people think, oh, you're a city of gastronomy, you have the best restaurants in the country, that's how you get it. Well, we like to think we have really good restaurants, and, you know, people in New York might argue with that, and people in New Orleans and Chicago and San Francisco, they have, you know, but that's not the reason. It's not about that. It's about what makes you unique, both from a food standpoint and a cultural standpoint. So gastronomy is sort of the intersection of food and culture. So that's really what it's about. So yes, we have 5,000 years of unique gastronomic history here. The Santa Cruz River is the longest continuously cultivated region in North America.
Incredible.
Well, what's that? It's not the Mississippi. It's not the Colorado. It's not any of the great rivers of our country. No, it's the river that doesn't flow.
Right.
Right. But it's because right there, right in downtown Kitchen, right where downtown Tucson, right where Mission Gardens is, that people came millennium after millennium, family after family, because the source that there was always some water. You might have to dig for it, you might have to irrigate, and they became master gardeners. They were ingenious people on how to use that very limited resource, water, in this horribly parched and arid climate, to grow crops that they can eat. And they took crops from the desert, things that were growing wild in the desert. We call those desert adapted crops and started cultivating those, all sorts of beans they could find. You can still find the predecessors of these 5,000-year-old, still wild predecessors for some of these things if you go hiking around and you know what to look for. And they domesticated these things and really built through their ingenuity and brains and necessity an agricultural heritage.
Absolutely.
And so I think of them as the survivors. I think of the foods that they created as the survivors. The people that grew those foods were the survivors. We are the beneficiaries of 5,000 years of surviving here in this arid, parched desert. But it doesn't stop here. We're a moment in time right now. We're part of a continuum, and it goes on from here. And this is an important time, because while we've been learned for 5,000 years how to grow things in a parched environment, the rest of the world's going to have to figure it out too. We have the answers. We know how to do that. So I think the role that Tucson will take, other places like us with similar sorts of climates are going to take, is going to be leadership role worldwide. And it's happening now, right? How do you grow in climates that are really inhospitable? They're coming worse and worse. We know that. It's just it's fact. And we have some of those answers, and that's something we can share with the world.
Absolutely. And speaking about that our international stage, I mean, you've been a culinary ambassador for Tucson, even representing our food scene internationally. What was it like cooking at the UNESCO headquarters in Paris?
It was fun, but it was really, I've done a fair amount of international cooking. It's never easy. Everything always goes wrong. At that point, so it's kind of a good story. At that point, I was supposed to be working with the chefs from the ambassador chefs. The ambassador had two chefs. They had, there was a time of political change in this country like we're having now, and the chefs had just been fired, like the day before I get there.
Oh, no.
So my support team was completely gone. I was by myself. They helped me purchase some products and stuff, and then they said, we're out of here. So I worked at UNESCO headquarters, 150 people or something like that. So
Incredible.
A big cocktail party with tons of different things. All of our creative cities networks were there, and because we're a creative city of gastronomy, we were asked to do the food. It was challenging, and it was uber successful, and I'm really proud of it. And but don't want to go through that again. And we teach, so we have cohorts of chef ambassadors who we train now, and so this is a good segue to that. And we really, we didn't realize that this was going to be a thing. We got invited here and we get invited there, and we think, that's okay, fine. And we were sort of ad hoc about how we would choose chefs to go. But we realized very early on that we needed a cohort of chefs, and we wanted a cohort of chefs who looked like Tucson. We wanted men, we wanted women, we wanted all the ethnicities that are represented here in Tucson, chefs of various ethnicities to represent us, but they needed to be trained. By the time I got to Paris, I'd been cooking for 40-something years. I knew how to roll with the punches. I'd been punched a lot. But these are younger chefs.
150 top, though. I mean, it's still impressive for anybody.
Yeah. So, but they may do that too, right?
Right.
And so we've been training. This is our second cohort that's gone through the training. We just completed their training. It was ad hoc for a while. We did an earlier cohort that went through the training. That lasted a little longer because that bridged COVID, the pandemic, and so they didn't get a chance to travel as long. So we kept them on. Great chefs, and this cohort looks more like Tucson than any of our the most that looks like Tucson. I'm really proud of that because that's important both to me personally that we share that, but I think it will make a huge difference in these chefs' lives moving forward. And so we train them in all sorts of things, and then as it will pair them up as needs are for the various things. And they also are ambassadors not only around the world, but they will go around the world, sister cities of gastronomy. Right. But here in Tucson, here in Pima County, they're also spreading the word. They will be doing all sorts of events around here. And
culinary leaders in the community and mentorships, absolutely incredible, and definitely something that is. If you're not learning, you're not growing. If you're not growing, then we'll leave it there. But at the onset of this, what has been one of your favorite places other than Tucson? Because I'm sure you stayed here for as long as you have because you love cooking in Tucson. But what is one of your favorite places that you've been and region-wise to cook with the UNESCO program?
So I haven't traveled that much. Since we've got this designation, I didn't want to be the guy going out. My job is to train others. So the only one that I did was Paris, and I'm really glad I did. It was a good thing that I did that. But I have not visited any of our other sister cities. I have plenty of opportunity to do that. Mm-hmm. But this part of my life is about really teaching younger people how to do that, sharing that. I've had opportunities my whole life that came from different. Who knows how you get them, but you get them. Right. And now I'm really focusing on sharing that, mentoring and teaching other people to do that. Places that I've loved to go cook, So we talked a little bit about Singapore and Hong Kong. Mm. I did a thing in Singapore several years ago. That was another really difficult thing. Everything goes wrong when you take it on the road, but everything goes right too because you fix it. That was super interesting. I loved that food, but I love food. Right, so I could go anywhere and say, "Oh my God, what do you got here? What's going on? Let's take a deep dive." Yeah. And I get to travel a bit, so when I do that, yeah. What do you like to cook? What I'm cooking now.
Fair enough, and we'll be right back after this short break. Do you know about our membership exclusives? Go check out thetastyshow.com, and we'll be right back. Stay tasty, Tucson. Hello, this is Wesley Source with the Tucson Tasty Show. With every tasty bite from VEPremiumBeef.com, you get premium beef flavor. From the amazing ground beef to the melt-in-your-mouth ribeye steaks, every ounce is exceptionally aged for more than 21 days. Giving Vera Earl Premium Beef exceptional premium beef flavor, order online at VEPremiumBeef.com. Again, that's VEPremiumBeef.com.
Hi, I'm Stephen Cota-Robles, founder of the Tucson Family Food Project. Here in Tucson, no family should have to choose between paying bills and putting food on the table. That's why we're here, to provide healthy, home-cooked meals to families in need every single week. But we need your help. Just $1 can have a huge impact on a family's nutrition and a child's educational outcome. Together, we can make sure every child in our community has access to nourishing food and a brighter future. Visit the TucsonFamilyFoodProject.org to learn more and to make your donation today. Together, we're not just helping families, we're building a stronger Tucson.
Hey Tucson, ready to spice up your dining experience? Join the Tucson Tasty Show supporter membership and unlock exclusive access to secret menu items from our partner restaurants. These one-of-a-kind dishes aren't just regular menu items. Crafted just for our members, it's your backstage pass to Tucson's best-kept culinary secrets. Sign up today at thetastyshow.com and discover what you've been missing. Stay tasty, Tucson.
Spark Project Collective, the world's first tattoo, body piercing, and metaphysical nonprofit. We're here to inspire, uplift, and give back to Tucson. For meaningful tattoos and unique piercings, massage therapy, sound bed sessions, metaphysical readers, and classes for spiritual growth. Spark Project Collective helps you express your authentic self while giving back to your community. Rent our event space. It's perfect for your next gathering or even workshop. Visit sparkprojectcollective.com to learn more and discover where creativity and connection meet.
Welcome to the Tucson Tasty Show, brought to you by SACA, Southern Arizona Art and Cultural Alliance, dedicated to creating, preserving, and advancing the arts. And now it's time for more tasty bites with your host, Wesley Source.
Welcome back to the Tucson Tasty Show. I'm your host, Wesley Source, and we're sitting down with Chef Janos Wilder. We're talking about his journey and Tucson's global recognition, but now I want to focus on how he's always stayed ahead of the curve, especially when it comes to the latest project, Studio Janos. And this segment is brought to you by Local First Arizona, supporting small businesses and the incredible food scene right here in our state. So tell us what inspired you to transition from downtown kitchen and cocktails to Studio Janos.
Well, this all took place during the pandemic, and we were forced to shut down downtown kitchen and cocktails. We pivot and you pivot and you pivot and you pivot, and you realize we can't pivot any longer. And we didn't close the restaurant; we just shut down. We were renegotiating our lease. Ended up not renegotiating that lease. We were still at the carriage house, pivot, and I got in a bad car accident, couldn't do it any longer. So it wasn't the pandemic so much, but it created an opportunity to say, wait a minute. My son asked me on a long hike, he said, "Dad, what's your exit strategy?" I said, "What's that?" I don't have an exit strategy. Well, maybe this could be it. Just keep your mind open to it. And I did. And when these things were happening, I couldn't work any longer for a while, and so we ended up closing everything. But during that year, I realized I love what I do now more than I ever loved it before. I want to distill it down just to the things that make me really happy. And that's two things: actually hands-on cooking, A, and B, working directly with my guests. And so we created Studio Janos in the middle of downtown, 124 East Broadway. It's 600 square feet. I have a little kitchen, which is totally outfitted with everything that I need. One table that we built many, many years, gorgeous table, beautiful. The room is just gorgeous. It's got great art. It just feels like home in many ways, and a space where I can do my best work. I cook every single thing that my guests are going to eat, and I bring in a team the night of our dinners. We don't sell onesies and Tuesdays. You can't call up and make a reservation for yourself and your girlfriend or your wife. You book the room, and bring in a team that's fantastic. That's really works. We work as a team in harmony, and so fantastic service, but also a place where people can cut loose. It's their own space. We only do it one a night, and only 2 or 3 at the most. The very most 3 in a week, and rarely will I do that. It's a lot. That's a little more than I want to do. But so we really can focus entirely on those guests, that menu, and I can cook everything, and I'm cooking right in front of them. Their meal is from me to them.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's like this is the perfect job.
And it's a really cool environment as well, because not only can you see everything that's happening, and you can interact with that, and you're pulling back the curtain quite a bit.
Completely. There's no curtain. There's no curtain to pull back.
So you're not in the kitchen and coming out.
No.
And it's all happening right there. And to that, it's not a traditional restaurant. It's an intimate, experience-based dining. And so what can people expect when they come there, as far as are you cooking everything in front of them? You have a lot of prep work already done?
Yeah, I'll have been working for several days on the menu, so that's building blocks, and then putting it all together and finishing it all. And I'll have one person in the kitchen with me these guys are men and women are fantastic, so they can finish my sentences, and they'll help me plate, and they'll do their part, I'll do my part, and a couple of people helping to serve their, it's just, it's seamless. It is seamless. But what we found, and you don't know when you plan these things, you don't know, is that people, how conducive that is for people's conversations. We can be part of that or less of that to the extent that they want. I'll talk about the foods, and most of the foods we do are heritage foods, so I tell that story and talk about each of the dishes. They've never had these dishes before. They don't know anything about them, but they trust me, and thank God they do, because they get a great meal out of it. They should trust me. But they don't want to leave. They have so much fun, and because they're groups, they all know each other. So their interactions amongst families, amongst friends, sometimes they don't know each other, sometimes they be business things, but food's a great icebreaker and a great unifier. And so the sort of really over-the-top fun and interesting dinners that happen there that you can't really have, maybe you can have in your home, but you're doing too much of the work yourself. Right. And you can't have in a restaurant because you're surrounded by other people. So it's better than a private dining room in a restaurant. You have an absolute 100% undivided attention.
Do you see a shift towards more experience-based dining as the future of restaurants?
I don't think I'm prepared to answer that. I hadn't thought about that question. I think that I'm more focused at this point on what I'm doing, and I'm not looking for the next thing for me. I'm not, I don't really care.
Understand?
Honestly, I don't really care on a personal level. All I care about is I'm creating a great, fabulous experience for my guest, and I imagine that might have some trickle-down effect. I understand that people try to do similar things or other things that are experiential.
Understood.
Yeah.
So sourcing local ingredients has always been a big part of your approach. Why is that so important to you?
Well, because I think that we talked about a sense of place. That's what makes, when you go someplace, whether it's in your home or when you visit someplace, I don't want to have the same thing when I go to Chicago that I'm going to eat in Tucson, and vice versa. I don't want to have the same thing in Tucson that I'll have in Chicago or name any other city, any country in the world. I want to have what's unique about that place, what makes them special that I can only get there. Just as an aside, so what we do is ultimately fine dining on a very personal level without any of the baloney that goes along with it. But fine dining has taken on a real sameness. It's international cooking, and you could close your eyes and be in New York City, or you could be in Paris, or you could be in Beijing, or you could be in Buenos Aires, and and if the room didn't give it away, somehow you were transported, you wouldn't know where you were through the food. And to have that sense of place, to know where you are, to know why you're there, how that food comes to you, that's what I've done. It's enjoyable for me, and it's super enjoyable for me, and when I get those experiences elsewhere.
Absolutely. And so not just another steakhouse.
No, not that I don't like steaks. I do. And
yeah, absolutely. And I agree.
Yeah.
But you can go to any city and you walk into a steakhouse and you're like, okay, I've been here before.
Right. And so that works too, because there's a familiarity and there's a comfort level. I get that.
But the flavors of Tucson
are unique.
Very.
Absolutely unique. You can't get them anywhere else. And in our dishes that focus on the heritage foods, we just take such a deep dive. And one of the things I always hear from our guests is, oh my God, these flavors. Oh, these flavors. And each course is very different. But flavor is everything to me. My job as a chef is to bring out flavors or get out of their way. And not to hide them, to bring them out. That doesn't mean I want things to be super spicy. I don't, because that hides everything else. but that has a place in things, but to really accent flavors.
Right.
And that, so from the first course, and these are 7 courses, from the first one to the last, it's flavor, flavor, flavor.
Absolutely. And, with that in mind, you talk about local flavors and local ingredients. That ties into sustainability as well. And how do you see sustainability playing a bigger role in the future of food?
Well, I think it has to play a bigger role because we can't be transporting things from long, long distances. For a while, there was a thing called FedEx food, right? And chefs were getting stuff from all over the world. Well, it's kind of cool, right?
Right.
You could do that, but that's unsustainable. So the closer you get the foods to your home, the better it is from a sustainable standpoint. The less water that you're in arid climates, so we talked about that. That's going to be all over the place.
Right.
The less water it takes to grow those things, the better off you're going to be, the more sustainable you are, the practices that you have in your restaurant. And really, that's something we really strive and is a priority for us in our restaurant certification program through
Absolutely.
City of Gastronomy. Is sustainability is a big part of getting that certification.
And then would you say there's one or specific ingredients that the local chefs should be paying attention to more?
I'm not so concerned that it's local ingredients. I'm concerned, I want our local chefs to have the confidence not to feel like they got to serve Italian food, not to feel that they have to serve French food, not to feel that they have to serve any other kind of food, but have the confidence that our food resonates. And you when you go to gut dinners, you
Yes.
see the best of the best. I want those chefs to do that food in their own restaurants, not only at gut dinners.
Absolutely. So do you want to try exclusive off-the-menu items at some of Tucson's best restaurants? Join the Tucson Tasty Show membership program at thetastyshow.com and unlock the secret password to dishes you won't find anywhere else. And as always, stay tasty, Tucson. Hello, this is Wesley Source with the Tucson Tasty Show. With every tasty bite from VEPremiumBeef.com, you get premium beef flavor. From the amazing ground beef to the melt-in-your-mouth ribeye steaks, every ounce is exceptionally aged for more than 21 days. Giving Vera Earl Premium Beef exceptional premium beef flavor, order online at VEPremiumBeef.com. Again, that's VEPremiumBeef.com.
Hi, I'm Stephen Cota-Robles, founder of the Tucson Family Food Project. Here in Tucson, no family should have to choose between paying bills and putting food on the table. That's why we're here, to provide healthy, home-cooked meals to families in need every single week. But we need your help. Just $1 can have a huge impact on a family's nutrition and a child's educational outcome. Together, we can make sure every child in our community has access to nourishing food and a brighter future. Visit the TucsonFamilyFoodProject.org to learn more and to make your donation today. Together, we're not just helping families, we're building a stronger Tucson.
Hey Tucson, ready to spice up your dining experience? Join the Tucson Tasty Show supporter membership and unlock exclusive access to secret menu items from our partner restaurants. These one-of-a-kind dishes aren't just regular menu items. Crafted just for our members, it's your backstage pass to Tucson's best-kept culinary secrets. Sign up today at thetastyshow.com and discover what you've been missing. Stay tasty, Tucson.
Spark Project Collective, the world's first tattoo, body piercing, and metaphysical nonprofit. We're here to inspire, uplift, and give back to Tucson. For meaningful tattoos and unique piercings, massage therapy, sound bed sessions, metaphysical readers, and classes for spiritual growth. Spark Project Collective helps you express your authentic self while giving back to your community. Rent our event space. It's perfect for your next gathering or even workshop. Visit sparkprojectcollective.com to learn more and discover where creativity and connection meet.
This is the Tucson Tasty Show, and I am your host, Wesley Source. We're in the final segment of our conversation with Chef Janos Wilder, and now I want to take a moment and reflect on what you're doing in Studio Janos and talk about some of the things that you do a lot of the time when you're mentoring some of these young chefs.
Yeah, well, so what I'm doing really with food. So what Studio Janos does, what we do is we do these small private dinners, and I create seasonal menus for those dinners. And I've been focusing since we opened on really the heritage foods, which I love and will never go away. But we also have a repertoire of what I'm calling now Janos favorites. Those are the things that from the very beginning, for Halloween 1983, which was our opening day, to when we closed at the Westin La Paloma. We had for 30-year run of Janos. And so opening the vault and pulling out dishes, our favorites and our guest favorites from those years. So for the first time, I'm really offering 2 menus that people can choose to have with their group. One would be the heritage menu, the deep dive into the products and the flavors and the taste of Tucson, which we've been talking so much about. But the other one is our favorites, my favorites from my career in Janos. So these are the super luxe, high-end, crazy, beautiful foods that really I built my reputation on, which gave me the entree to take a deeper dive into what we do here. So now people can go to my website, studiojanos.com, see those menus and choose from either of those. So we have an opening night, lobster with papaya and champagne sauce. Version of a dish that I learned in Paris when I was working in France, that changed it to a degree to make it more regional to where we were. So actually this time of year it's papaya or mango rather than papaya. You still get these beautiful mangoes, but the papayas aren't quite right. And things that were flights of fancy for me that just turned out to be amazing. Number one sushi grade, the best sushi you can buy. It comes into me so red and gorgeous. And I did a dish many years ago called shrimp takashimi. I never use shrimp anymore because the sourcing of is really unreliable and not necessarily sustainable. But the idea was, flight of fancy, what if I walked down the Ginza in Tokyo and wanted to order a taco? What would I get?
Interesting.
So what I imagined and what we are serving on this menu and what we served at our menus at various times at Janos, we would make a taco shell out of an egg roll wrapper.
Okay.
Well, we're not going to do beans, so we do stir-fried lo mein. We're not going to do carne asada. So in this case, we're doing this absolutely raw, beautiful, number one sashimi grade ahi tuna, a seaweed salad, pickled ginger, kobayaki sauce, which is the sauce that you would put on your unagi at the sushi bar, a little sesame, and just awesome, great flavors, and just not in our vernacular for Tucson, but really in the vernacular of my history. We do a puff pastry bisque, which is totally French concoction, where you actually make a soup and you chill the soup and you put it in these special bowls. And you put cold puff pastry over the top so it's cold, and you refrigerate that thing so it's so cold, and you put it in the oven right before service. And the puff pastry, as the soup heats up, the puff pastry, which is just tightly adhered to the bowl, rises and puffs up and makes this beautiful dome. And as you break into the soup, all the aromas of the soup, and this is we do a Madeira and mushroom bisque. That's the soup that we're doing right now. I'm doing green tea smoked duck, which I'd forgotten actually how to make. So I'll put green tea smoked duck. That was always one of our favorites. That is the most complex recipe. I'd forgotten all the steps that went into it.
Oh my!
I probably shouldn't have done that. But so we dry the duck, we smoke it over, we cure it, in a dry cure, and then a wet rub, and smoke it over green tea leaves. It's served with, this time of year we don't do plums. We do cinnamon poached plums in rice wine, and in rice plum wine, and just beautiful and delicious, just crazy good flavors. So these sort of out of the box flavors, and then we end up really back in a slightly different box with an 8-hour braised short rib with a dish I call the truth about potatoes. This is a recipe from one of the great French chefs, Joe Robuchon. When the first time I made this recipe for potatoes, I tasted those potatoes. Oh my God, this is the truth about potatoes. This is what every potato should taste like. And so that becomes the
Tell me more. Tell me more.
I'll tell you more. Okay.
You're making me really, really hungry, and I can't imagine.
So you slice the potatoes really quite thin, not super thin, and with a little bit of thyme, some garlic, some Gruyere cheese, and you make a gratin with just enough cream to just float the top of the potatoes. Cook them for about 45 minutes. First, you poach the potatoes in milk. Take them out of the milk. Then you save the milk for if you're going to make them again. Then the cream goes over the top, and you've got all that Gruyere cheese, and everything accentuates the flavor of the potato itself without getting in its way. That's that dish.
Oh my gosh.
That is the truth about potato. And then we're doing for dessert. For dessert, a dish that we created, I don't know, in the mid '80s. So we're really going to going to the Wayback Machine here. Dark chocolate jalapeno ice cream sundae, which was, people are still clamoring for that. It's a dish that I never thought if I had a product I would make, that would probably be it.
That's incredible. No,
Yeah.
I mean that's it sounds incredible. Yes, we definitely need to do something more together.
Okay, let's do it.
At the
Yes.
studio. And but how can everybody get a hold of you? What's the website?
Yeah, the website is studiojanos.com. So just go to the website, and there you hit private parties if that's what you're interested. I do consulting, do all sorts of other stuff. So you see all sorts of options for you to do. But go to the private parties, and there's a place for you to give us your information and tell us what you want. And then there's nobody between me and you.
Which is incredible.
I will be calling you on the phone.
How many years are you booked out?
somebody said, this is the hardest ticket in town.
Yes. And then and I can't wait to and experience that in the kitchen with you, and really hoping that we can get a TV episode with you as well, and I'm sure we'll talk about that off air. But let's talk a little bit about your cooking. You also do consulting and everything else.
Yeah.
So after all these years, how do you keep passionate about it?
It's the food speaks to me. I get excited as excited when I make that potato dish as you just got, right? I still do. The food speaks to me. The people speak to me, and it's my happy space. What can I say? It's just my happy space. The whole thing. I have more fun when we do these dinners and that interaction with our guests, and have the primacy with them, and that feedback that I'm able to get, and we can, it doesn't get any better.
Absolutely. And so I've got to ask, for the young chefs or anyone out there that dreams of opening a restaurant or getting into the hospitality industry, what's the best advice you can give?
Get a job. Get a job, and get a hard job. Start washing dishes is fine. Work your way up. And, so many people go to culinary schools, and they still do. I did not, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I've hired a lot of really great chefs from culinary schools, but it's very expensive. Or unless you go to PIMA, which is a fantastic program.
Absolutely.
But make sure it's what you love. It's a hard life. It's tough on a family. You're away from your family a lot. It's not an abusive situation in most kitchens. Like in many ways, it was when I grew up. But it's hard. It's long hours. You do a lot of grunt work.
Yep.
You've got to if you don't love that, don't do it. You got to find. It's romanticized now. It's romanticized on TV. It's romanticized in magazines. It's romanticized all through our culture. But it's not romantic doing it. Because I found this perfect little path for myself. It's romantic to me. I got to tell you that.
Sure.
But make sure. But I've been doing it for my whole life. I've been doing it for 50 years. I knew from the beginning. Maybe not from the beginning, quickly realized, you're yelling at me because I made that dish wrong? Bring it on. I want to learn how to do it right. I ignore the yelling. I'm just hearing the message. And if that's not for you, if you don't want to be great at it, don't get into cooking not to be great at it. There are a lot of better ways to make a living.
Yeah, heard, definitely. And thank you for all of your incredible experience. Thank you for being on the show today. Visit the TucsonTastyShow.com, join our membership program, and unlock secret menu items, VIP tastings, and more. Don't forget, you can bring home the best in the local beef with Vera Earl Premium Beef Tasty Show box, delivering high-quality ranch-to-table flavor. Thank you for joining us on the Tucson Tasty Show. Savor every delicious bite, and we'll see you next week. Stay tasty, Tucson. Hello, this is Wesley Source with the Tucson Tasty Show. With every tasty bite from VEPremiumBeef.com, you get premium beef flavor. From the amazing ground beef to the melt-in-your-mouth ribeye steaks, every ounce is exceptionally aged for more than 21 days. Giving Vera Earl Premium Beef exceptional premium beef flavor, order online at VEPremiumBeef.com. Again, that's VEPremiumBeef.com.
Hi, I'm Stephen Cota-Robles, founder of the Tucson Family Food Project. Here in Tucson, no family should have to choose between paying bills and putting food on the table. That's why we're here, to provide healthy, home-cooked meals to families in need every single week. But we need your help. Just $1 can have a huge impact on a family's nutrition and a child's educational outcome. Together, we can make sure every child in our community has access to nourishing food and a brighter future. Visit the TucsonFamilyFoodProject.org to learn more and to make your donation today. Together, we're not just helping families, we're building a stronger Tucson.
Hey Tucson, ready to spice up your dining experience? Join the Tucson Tasty Show supporter membership and unlock exclusive access to secret menu items from our partner restaurants. These one-of-a-kind dishes aren't just regular menu items. Crafted just for our members, it's your backstage pass to Tucson's best-kept culinary secrets. Sign up today at thetastyshow.com and discover what you've been missing. Stay tasty, Tucson.
Spark Project Collective, the world's first tattoo, body piercing, and metaphysical nonprofit. We're here to inspire, uplift, and give back to Tucson. For meaningful tattoos and unique piercings, massage therapy, sound bed sessions, metaphysical readers, and classes for spiritual growth. Spark Project Collective helps you express your authentic self while giving back to your community. Rent our event space. It's perfect for your next gathering or even workshop. Visit sparkprojectcollective.com to learn more and discover where creativity and connection